Welcome to Expert Subjects Weekly Podcast. If I had just one chance to do things different, I would turn back time and blow out the match I used to light my high school on fire, Bridget said to no one as she sat in the corner of Starbucks, pretending she had company on the cushy armchair next to hers. This week, we're looking at dialogue and how you need to get it right, make it ring true, as they tell you in writing workshops. What does that mean, to ring true? This means the way your characters speak needs to sound as if the reader is eavesdropping. The way your characters speak need to sound authentic or real. Writing is a strange thing. Here we are, in many cases, creating stories or fiction, but then we want this fiction to appear true to life. This often applies to movies as well. Of course, the reader or the movie viewer is at times willing to suspend his or her disbelief, but more often than not, we want some semblance of reality. Unless, of course, the book or movie is complete fantasy. How many times have you heard people complain that a character was not credible? When your characters are not believable, then the reader cannot empathize or care about their conflicts. Dialogue, when done right, makes the writing brilliant. The words that come from your characters' mouths should not be put on the page just to fill space, or just because you know your characters speak from time to time. What your characters say should help flesh them out, and this should be a relief to you as the writer, because it eases your burden of telling. Your characters can show themselves through their words. Think of bad dialogue as dead wood in your writing. Picture your story as a big bonfire. If you throw dead or rotting wood onto the fire, or green wood for that matter, it does nothing to fuel the fire. Now picture your dialogue as seasoned wood, perfect for burning. You throw it onto the bonfire and the flames rise up to the sky, generating heat. There are many resources to learn how to get better at dialogue. Stephen King has many useful tidbits in his books on writing. He believes that writers who are good listeners create finer dialogue. I believe this to be true. Any of my close friends or family know when we go out for a meal or to some other public place, I'm often eavesdropping on other conversations. I don't like to think of myself as a rude person, but writers have to have an insane curiosity about people, how they behave, what they say, how they dress, walk, parent, work, eat, drive, and communicate to one another. Yesterday I was in a diner and a group of men were sitting in the booth directly behind us. The way they spoke immediately drew me in. They sounded like the cast from The Sopranos, and I was soon listening in on their harangues against their wives instead of speaking to my friend. I had to hear what they were saying, and when they left to pay their bill, I had to see what they looked like, how old they were, check out their tattoos, and get a visual to complete the audio.
Here I am, dripping sweat into the tub, bathing the kids, and she's lollygagging around like she always does. Her job, babysitting an 8-year-old, getting $100 a day to sit on her ass and watch television. I said, Lonnie, I'd switch jobs with you in a frickin' minute.
Now, most of the manuscripts I edit are filled with deadwood dialogue. This means what the characters say does nothing for the prose. The reader gets no further indication of the character, and the talking does not move the story ahead in any way. So what is it down on the page for? Think of a cartoon with a character saying, blah, 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 blah. This is what dead dialogue accomplishes. Nothing. You, as a writer, need to listen to others speak. Become a very good listener. Let others talk. A lot. Be the quiet one. Be the fly on the wall. Then you'll learn the cadence of conversation. You'll be able to take what you hear and place it on your blank page. The other part of writing good dialogue, according to Stephen King, is having a good imagination. Try to hear your characters communicating. What do they need and want to say? What gets said to them in response? Allow your characters to be themselves. Talk, whether ugly or beautiful, is an index of character, Stephen King said. Be careful with dialects. They can mess you up. Be careful with how you punctuate your dialogue, and don't be tempted to do something like this. Eric said impatiently, Do you always have to sing so loud? No one can hear my guitar solo. David replied hostily, maybe that's a good thing, cuz. Don't rely on adverbs to carry the weight of the emotion. Convey the emotion through a valuable description, not lazy adverbs to define the dialogue. Practice dialogue, read dialogue, listen to people speak, and use your imagination. If you do all these things, your dialogue will improve and help you to create better prose. Thank you for listening to this week's Expert Subjects podcast. And of course, feel free to read the weekly article to accompany this podcast for further information about how to create strong dialogue for your prose. Thank you.